starting with the first house because it's identity. This is where you start with anything. This is the Aries energy in your chart. This is the infant. This is the first person to move in the zodiac wheel, so that everyone else is kind of alert to what's going on, right? So right now we have Saturn and Aries with the planets currently. It's in retrograde, and we also have Jupiter in Leo. So that's two fire signs that are active in the transits right now. So yes, we have aspects going through its travel throughout the days and everything like that. What we're just talking about the planets itself. That's a sign that Saturn is in, and Jupiter is in Leo. So those two fire signs are like the peak of someone being sparked into their flame, and it's sparkling and all the thing, the little flickers that come off, that is like Leo energy. Your expression of who you are is going to be what's leading it, right? So as we're preparing to maneuver through our industry, or at least our community, and offering things that we know people may need, this is for the people that are wanting to start a project. If you're looking to start a project, you should know exactly what you're looking to achieve. So I would be able to help you with the archetype that you're embodying, and that would be just giving you some pointers on what you are supposed to look towards in achieving internal success. So you have to have your own measurements of success and what you want to achieve, so I can kind of like help you see what you need to do to get that. However, this is all perspective. At the end of the day, the mannerisms that you embody are going to be authentic to you. I can't tell you how to act in these ways. I can tell you the characteristic traits that are required for you to reach success. That's the best I can do. And this is where you have a comfort in your inner child, because your inner child is facing these requirements versus me setting a requirement for you, and you know exactly like where you want to maneuver. So in your building of anything, you want to set the requirements for yourself, and that's where building your own criteria matters, because you need a philosophy to follow so that you feel that you're staying on brand with what you want to do. You're staying in alignment because it's something required for you to actually maneuver through, and everything else that you're preparing is going to just follow through because you're already actively participating in a timeline that you want to embody, you want to exist in. And these are going to be requirements that your inner child is going to have to face on its own. And that was a chair, not me. Let me just move some more so you can see my bad. I'm just saying. But no, you really want to make sure that the things that you're trying to achieve are going to be like in alignment with what your ultimate outcome is. So again, I know I haven't discussed that because you've probably just seen me on one of these videos. However, I wanted to look into photography for a very long time. So I had to niche down in the beginning. I am a very good photographer. However, I have never put myself in a category to solidify interest. So I'm just good at taking pictures. That's not where my goal is. So my ultimate goal is to be close by fashion and giving people intimate art, what is it called, editorial photos, and that alone is going to take a lot of time because you want to successfully do it versus you just getting from the camera and then making a model do something. You want to build out that story, and I feel like building this business and it being in this narrative has allowed me to kind of like maneuver through what I want, like what kind of story I want to tell. And it's a form of shadow work because you have to love this area of yourself. This art world that we know of is a part of a very depressive expression of art. And a lot of people lack vibrancy, but it's not a bad thing because this is raw and true emotion. And a lot of people don't want to always feel that because it gives bleak, and that's not bad. However, that's just a reality of life. So now there's new generations entering into this world and wanting to give a different a different vibrancy, a different frequency of emotion. And to be vibrant, you have to be authentic, and that is subjective. So you have to love and nourish yourself despite others' reaction to your art. So I personally know that myself. I was going through that, not reacting to how people react to my art because it doesn't really matter whether they get it or they don't. You have to believe in yourself more. This is where that identity that is in the ascendant house, which is the first house, your identity has to be nourished regardless if you're accepted. However, yes, we want to be accepted, but that doesn't determine whether or not we try or we continue trying. So I am a former track athlete. However, I used to have to pace myself in the process of running. And in order for you to do that, it sounds like it's like, oh yeah, of course, when you're going on a run, but say that the run lasts 30 seconds. You need to know how much you can build up your speed and keep that speed all the way through the 30 seconds, or at least build up. So the first time you do that, you may not have a solid technique. The second time you do it, you may fumble to see how you're going to actually get it done. The third time, you get a little bit more. Those are the repetitions that you need to take when it comes to your creativity and allowing your inner child to get comfortable. And that's where I had to get my inner child had to get comfortable with photography before I was ready. And I'm like, okay, now I don't really know where I want to be. I guess I could fall back for a second to see exactly where I want to express myself from. And I'm like, dang, it has to be a little vulnerable. That means I internally needed to do more work in my inner child to be accepted in such vulnerable spaces, if that makes sense. So, in the midst of you building yourself, you want to allow yourself to love who you've become at every stage. So, yes, the first house, you may be there for a couple years. You may not even reach the second house that I'm referring to because you have so much internal work to do. And that is subjective. You are the person that tells you, okay, I think it's time to go to the next level. What I call that is your sun sign. Your sun sign is the ego respond to everything. So if you have an archetype, wherever your sun sign is in, that's when you use that sign. In my opinion, this is just me. This is just me. When you are interacting with this world, you do not have to lead with your sun sign because normally you're not really leading with your sun sign. You have a lot more expression and personality being expressed than you use your sun sign most of the time. So I feel like when it's time for you to move to the next level and you are the one setting the bar, your ego must set the bar. We cannot set the bar with our moon sign. Like, you can't set the bar always with your Mars sign because it could be feeling inadequate. It could be feeling like, okay, yeah, I think I can make it, until you physically have to do it and you can't meet your own measurements. And this is where we want to be realistic with alignment. If it's not an alignment for you to be all the way up there because you can't withstand it, you want to make sure that you keep something that you can maintain. And if that is still a success level you want to reach, you know what it takes. So these are like instances that I use astrology in a psychological understanding. We can talk about zodiac signs all day, but when it comes to what's in your zodiac wheel and your placements, there are going to be placements that you have to work with, and it does take long. That does not mean that you aren't capable of executing a goal like the way people are already doing it currently, but that just may not be your time. And that is okay. Everybody has their time to shine, and that should be where you see in your birth chart, you'll see where you are supposed to shine. Okay? So, in the beginning of this explanation of what I'm trying to say, I mentioned I was a track runner. So the personal best is something that you want to strive for. So when I used the 30 seconds because that's like a 200 meter, right? If you're good, 30 seconds, and I'm not trying to be funny because it could be 40, it could be, if it's 50, it's like, wow, okay, come on, we got some work to do. But I'm saying 30 seconds just to be somebody who's capable of doing it, right? So if you aren't capable of doing it, then you would know where you stand that in this conversation, as I'm going to say it. So say that the 30-second is considered a fast time, right? The first time you do 35 seconds. 30 seconds is the fastest time. And this is your personal best compared to the fastest time. This is the highest point to be, 30 seconds, right? Say you run 35 seconds, and then you try the second time and you do 40 seconds, and you're like, well, damn, what did I do wrong? You automatically, it doesn't matter what the heck happened while you were running. You want to know what you did wrong from the first time you tried. That is the same thing that you have to do with your shadow work. It is the same thing you have to do because you did just do something. You want to know what was the difference and what caused the difference. And all of those things need to be the reasons that you tend to your inner child in such a way. And yes, this is the most vulnerable you can be. If you are ever vulnerable with anybody, you would have to be vulnerable with somebody that you're like loving on. You know what I'm saying? So that should always be yourself. So in the beginning of your preparing to like execute, I want to say, take participation a little bit more intentional when it comes to your community, your industry, the people that you want to work with, your professionalism, your career, like, all of the things, right? These experiences that you have to have that may last you a little bit longer than you think, because you may not understand how long it's going to take you to manage to hit the highest point, you know what I'm saying? Or at least your personal best. The first time you did it was like, okay, I don't even know what happened. I did 40 seconds the next time you do it, it's probably 6 months later. The next time you do it, you like, okay, maybe I get 36. I don't know, maybe I don't know how but you're not worried about the mistakes anymore. You now know what it took. But these are the experiences that you have to do with yourself. So I'm giving you some insight on why I chose to do this experiment in this way. You have to be the person that's willing to love yourself through the things that you classify as a failure. If you are classifying things as fails, you will never really learn what really hindered you from making your personal best. Your personal best is your standard. In that time, you can't really take someone else's standard and be like, yeah, this is my standard if you never reach their capabilities. You get what I'm saying? So you really do have to do this on a personal level and know that your Mars sign is going to help you wage war. And that war is within yourself. You have to know that the bar that you set, that is where you're supposed to hit. If you hit beyond that bar and you've now hit beyond somebody else's bar with your bar, that you've already set a new standard. That's how you set trends. You know what I'm saying? So you want to be the person that's the flyest in your book. You want to be the person that's the flyest in your book. If you're not the flyest in your book, where are you getting your references from? Who's inspiring you to be at the level that you're at, and what level have you set for yourself? Because we could use other people as like reasons why we're like this and inspiration, but there comes a level of inspiration when you don't resonate with everything that somebody does. And you want to make sure that you're allowing yourself to be that person. So my phone's gonna die, and I wanted to make sure that I use the mic. So I think I've said most of what I can get out right now. So hopefully you guys understood. And if you have any questions, you can write in the comment section of this, or you can email me. Doesn't matter. See you guys later.